Dharmasya paramo guhya nirvikaro bhavan mataha. Okay, synonyms. Twataha, from you. Sanatanaha, eternal. Dharma, occupation. Rakshyate, is protected. Tanubhihi, by multi-manifestations. Tava, your. Dharmasya, of religious principles. Paramaha, the supreme. Guhya, objective. Nirvikaraha, unchangeable. Bhavan, you. Mattaha, in our opinion. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You are the source of the eternal occupation of all living entities, and by your multi-manifestations of personalities of Godhead, you have always protected religion. You are the supreme objective of religious principles, and in our opinion, you are inexhaustible and unchangeable eternally. Purport. The statement in this verse, Dharmasya, Paramo Guhya, refers to the most confidential part of all religious principles. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The conclusion of Lord Krishna in his advice to Arjuna is, give up all religious engagement and just surrender unto me. This is the most confidential knowledge in executing religious principles. In the Bhagavatam also it is stated that if one does not become Krishna conscious after very rigidly executing one's specified religious duties, all his labor in following so-called religious principles is simply a waste of time. Here also the sages confirm the statement that the Supreme Lord, not the demigods, is the ultimate goal of all religious principles. There are many foolish propagandists who say that worship of the demigods is also a way to reach the supreme goal. But in the authorized statements of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, this is not accepted. Bhagavad Gita says that one who worships a particular demigod can reach the demigod's planet, but one who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead can enter into Vaikuntha. Some propagandists say that regardless of what one does, he will ultimately reach the supreme abode of the personality of Godhead, but this is not valid. The Lord is eternal, and the Lord's servitor is eternal, and the Lord's abode is also eternal. They're all described here as Sanatan or eternal. The result of devotional service, therefore, is not temporary and is the achievement of heavenly planets by worshiping, as is the achievement of heavenly planets by worshiping the demigods. The sages wanted to stress that although the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, says that he worships the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, actually the Lord is worshipable not only by the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, but also by the demigods. So we're going back to translation again. You are the source of the eternal occupation of all living entities, and by your multi-manifestations of personalities of Godhead, you've always protected religion. You're the supreme objective of religious principles, and in our opinion, you are inexhaustible and unchangeable eternally. Right, so thank you everyone again for joining. We'll do the invocation prayers. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, stop my video. Sorry. I'm not able to stop the share. Okay, sorry, devotees. I am not able to come on video again for some reason. You can see my screen still?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, then I will just keep the Bhagavatam screen. Sorry for this. I actually am not able to access I would have to go back out and come back in, but that might take too much time. So start again. Thank you everyone for joining today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Again, for those of you who have just joined, we are discussing today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, verse number 18. And even though I am not qualified to speak on such transcendental subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, I'll still try to attempt to serve the Srimad Bhagavatam and devotees in a way that can purify myself and my heart. So I request all of you to pray for me so that I can speak something meaningful. And if I do make any mistakes in providing this message, please do forgive me. So today we see that how the four Kumaras are responding to the Lord Narayan, and they're glorifying Lord Narayan. So in this purport of this text, Srila Prabhupada says that dharmasya paramo guhya, and this refers to the most confidential part of all religious principles. And Krishna advises Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita at the end, 18.66, that Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. So it means like give up all other religious engagements and just surrender unto me. And Prabhupada really nicely explains this in this verse, that if one doesn't become Krishna conscious after rigidly executing one's specified religious duties, all his labor is following on the so-called religious principles is simply a waste of time. So I wanted to take this time today to discuss about, what this surrender means. We've always heard to surrender to the Lord. And I always question that, what does this really mean? When we say surrender to the Lord, what does it really mean? Many times we think that when we surrender, it means it's implying a cloistered or isolated or like withdrawn life from the world. But if we really understand and dig this real meaning of what surrender means to Krishna, we'll definitely find this concept to be very dynamic and reciprocal. For example, again, even in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Krishna says to Arjuna, Devi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante mayante etam tarantite. So it says this divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So again, why is this so hard to understand, this concept of surrender? And I was thinking it is because of our illusion. We have this egoistic covering of ourselves. And it makes us want to think that we are the center of everything. So when we think that we are the center of everything, we cannot be submissive to someone else. So even in according to this verse that's quoted in Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.676, surrendering to Krishna has 6 aspects. So we hear at least the first part of this. So anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati vishvaso goptritve varanam tatha Atmanikshepa karpanye sadvidha sharangatihi. So this means that, anukulyasya means anything that assists devotional service to the Lord. And then sankalpa, which means it's acceptance. So we have to accept everything that is favorable to serving the Lord. And then pratikulyasya is basically anything that hinders devotional service. And what should we do with that? Virginam. So we should completely reject it. We should reject everything that is unfavorable for serving the Lord, that hinders our devotional service. And then vakshishyati. So we should, iti, thus, vishvasaha, strong conviction. So we have to have this strong conviction and faith that Krishna is the only one who can protect myself. So that is something we need to have this strong conviction of. And then goptritve, and being the guardian, like the father or husband, master or maintainer. Varanam, acceptance. Tatha, so as well as. And atma nikshepa, that means full surrender. So we have to understand that Krishna, always accept Krishna as our maintainer. And always be conscious that, we're not independent in fulfilling our desires. So we should always humbly think ourselves as the most fallen. And in this way, we can develop this mood of surrender. So just going a little more into the discussion of these 6 aspects, what does it mean to accept everything favorable to serving the Lord? So it means we have to take up this, there's so many different limbs of bhakti or angas. And I wanted to specifically focus on the 3 that have to do with the related to spiritual master. It's basically, accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, taking initiation from him, and serving him with respect and reverence. So this means when we take initiation vows, we should have this surrender mood to our guru and guru's vani. We should definitely hear from our spiritual master every day. And we have to learn to live by his instructions. So this is what will make Krishna happy. So which means that we should do everything that will make Krishna happy. That is the first aspect of this surrender. Next, we have to give up everything that is unfavorable for serving the Lord. So how do we do, and how do we know what we should not do, or what does Krishna not want us to do, or have, right? Basically, there are definitely lots of instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, and we have lots of scriptures that says what we should follow and the examples of devotees. But specifically, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 16.21 as this example that trividham narakasyedam dvaram nashanam atmanah kama krodhas tatha lobhas tasmadetat trayam tyajet. So tyajet means we should give up. So what does this mean? We should give up this lust, anger, and greed because they are the pathway to hell. When lust does not get fulfilled, we've seen this, right? When the lust does not get fulfilled in one's self, then one becomes angry or agitated. But at the same time, if it does get fulfilled, let's say, our desires of lust does get fulfilled, then we become more greedy. So all of these are very interrelated and jointed with each other. These all really lead to the gates of hell. So lust is the main enemy that we should definitely, of course, there are others, but we should definitely learn to give them up. And how do we can ask the next question. How do we give up this lust? So this comes by really understanding which are the rest of the aspects of surrender. The number 3, 4, 5, 6. Which is having firm conviction that only Krishna can protect oneself. And this aspect of surrender, it really brings on a state of fearlessness and acceptance of everything in life as a part of Lord's plan for our protection. So anything that happens in our life, we'll understand that it is the plan of the Lord, and definitely it is for our protection. So this way, we can have this conviction that Krishna can protect us. And that's one of the ways that we can give up this mentality of this lust. And then number 5 would be, to always accept Krishna as one's maintainer. So we often think, we are maintaining ourselves and we are maintaining our loved ones with our occupation. But even if you really think about this, there will be revelation that everyone is really fully dependent on God for life. When we keep on going asking why if something happens, we'll definitely have one answer, that there is no cause of something, and that is where God is. So that's why, regardless of how hard we work, how skilled we are, or knowledgeable or clever, no matter who our friends and family are, circumstances in nature and human society definitely can either bring us prosperity or ruin our endeavors. So this kind of acknowledgement allows us to work for in the mood of service to the Lord rather than independently. So this is also something that will help us, remove this lust from us. And then next is, always be conscious that one is not independent in fulfilling desires. So the devotee, as practicing sadhakas, we should definitely understand and feel completely dependent on Krishna. And that's how we can act and think how Krishna is wanting to, to us to desire. And then next would be always humbly think of ourselves fallen, so that we can develop this surrender mood. And what does this mean? So Srila Prabhupada defines this humility, that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. And this, material concept of life makes us very eager to receive honor from others. But again, from a person who has perfect knowledge knows that he is not this body, and anything, honor or dishonor pertaining to this body, it does not matter, or it should not matter. So in other words, we're all in this illusion, thinking that this body is me and everything in relation to this body is mine. And this is how we develop this lust, because, it's like attachment for family. We always feel that we have this attachment for family or things that we own, it's not really our attachment to take care of someone or to take care of something, but it's really, if you think deeply, it is because it's for our own satisfaction. We love everyone and everything that we have because we think we own it. So in reality, we are very selfish, because everything we love, we have, is only because we're associating that with ourselves. So instead, we should really understand, slowly and gradually, of who we are, that we are the soul and servant of the Lord, and come out of this attachment, which will remove our lust to things, lust to people and to things that we'll be considering as me and mine. So we should know that everything and everyone is entrusted in our care by Krishna. So he has provided the people around us, our relationships, and the things in our life. When we develop this, and we should feel this gratitude towards Krishna, and then understand that we have no one or nothing if it really wasn't for his sanction. So this will help us really understand and try to, it's not an overnight process, but it will help us come out of this me and mine kind of mentality when we have this gratitude to Krishna, understanding that everything is entrusted to us to take care of, and we should use everything we have for the service of the Lord. And then next, so that was my part of surrendering. Next, I wanted to discuss what Prabhupada states in the purport about the one who worships demigod. He reaches the demigod's planet. So we hear many times, especially in India, that everyone is God, and we worship whoever we worship will reach the same destination, which is the supreme abode of God. But here, we know that this is not true. For example, the easiest way to understand this is if we buy some kind of ticket to go somewhere. For example, we buy a ticket to go to Calcutta, or flight ticket or train ticket, or whatever it is. We will not reach Vrindavan. We'll reach that destination where we got where we bought the ticket to go to. So Krishna also confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 7.23. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamethasam devan deva yajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. This means that men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. So those who worship the demigods, they actually do go to the planets of demigods. But my devotees, so Krishna says, my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So in the first part of this text, we read that Kumaras are saying that Tvata Sanatana Dharma. Right here. Tvata Sanatana Dharma. So it's basically, excuse me, sorry. Kumaras are saying that you, the Lord, are the source of eternal occupation of all living entities. And this means that when we perform devotional service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, it is not temporary, like how we would get something when we worship the demigods. It is actually eternal result versus temporary results. And then Kumaras also stated, Rakshate Tanubhistava. So they're saying that, Lord, by your multi-manifestations, you have protected the religion. So here sages are saying, addressing the Lord from earlier. We read on the bottom here that, he said out of his causeless mercy, he worships the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. But the Lord, Kumaras are stressing that actually the Lord is worshipable not only by Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, but also by the demigods. So he is the supreme truth. The Lord is the supreme truth and eternal. He is inexhaustible and unchangeable, or nirvikaro, eternally. So we'll just wrap things up here. So just to summarize, today we discussed the six aspects of surrender to understand what surrender means. And then we also discussed how the Kumaras were glorifying the Lord, understanding that he is the supreme most and eternal. And with that, I would like to conclude this class. If there were any mistakes again in presenting the subject matter discussion, please do forgive me. And I hope at least we can reiterate it to ourselves, that importance of surrender and supremacy and humility of the Lord from these verses that we've been reading. And of course, we should never offend a Vaishnava, and that's a whole different topic. But this is the takeaway points, my takeaway points at least, from reading these texts. So thank you so much. And if there's any corrections or discussions, we can move to those. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for the good reminder of, the six aspects of surrender. It's always good to kind of refresh our minds with those, because as we are doing our daily practices, it just goes, we stop thinking about this and just monotonously do our work. So this was a good reminder. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you for, yes, definitely. It is also a reminder to myself more than anyone else. So thank you so much for your comment. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And I apologize for all this technical glitch here that we had. I couldn't turn on this camera, and I'm not able to access my screen to stop sharing or open my camera. So apologies. Lakshmikant Prabhu, if there's no other comments, we can end the call here. just gonna join from my phone and see if okay. At least through my phone, I can turn on my camera. Okay, so if there are no more comments, we can end the call here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sharapad ki jai. Thank you so much, devotees, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.